I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about, did she feel like you weren't enough? You know, many times when you're going through a breakup, you're really questioning everything. You're looking at all different areas and situations, and many times we start to look at ourselves and feel like we're not enough. Now, over the years, I have done hundreds, if not thousands, of calls with women that have been both the dumper and the dumpee. And I can tell you that women fall in love, okay? There's so many videos out there saying that women don't love men for who they are. They love them for what they can give. Now, yes, there are going to be people in the world like that, of course. But when somebody falls in love, they genuinely fall in love. And ladies, please defend yourself in the comments if you have to, because I'm so tired of people getting beat up. You know, it has more to do with our ability to attach and bond and connect and our own attachment issues than it has to do with being a man or being a woman when you're looking for materialistic things in life. In other words, somebody that's secure isn't really going to worry about those things like leveling up with somebody who's rich or loaded. Yeah, there are going to be people like that, of course. But for the most part, if somebody loves you, they love you. Now, here's the thing. Many guys feel like they get broken up with because they don't have enough stuff. They're not making enough money, they're not bringing enough home, and they're getting left for a guy who has a lot more money. In my opinion, these guys are getting left more for their behavior than anything else. Women tend to be extremely attracted to how a guy behaves and how he makes her feel. There are tons of starving artists out there that have women chasing after them because they are confident, right? They are pursuing a passion, a dream, something they believe in. See, I really think that women love ambition with a guy. It doesn't really matter what it is, but when she sees a guy who is motivated, passionate, cares about his career, cares about providing for his family, is hardworking, that is extremely attractive to them, okay? Now, what tends to happen is that the many people that aren't living their life like that, aren't ambitious, don't have a dream, don't have something that they work towards, don't have goals, they're often struggling with depression, anxiety, and if you really think about it, it's related to their mental health and their insecurities. When somebody is anxious, struggling with depression, trauma, and they have all kinds of insecurities and things that they are anxious about, it often keeps them stuck where they're not motivated. They're not ambitious, okay? Which is what often attracts women. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to tell you guys is that it's not so much about where you're at or how rich you are. Yes, those things do matter. We live in the real world. I'm not going to say that it doesn't matter, but it's not as much of an impact as you think it is. If you are secure, if you're confident, if you're a good communicator, if you know how to make her feel loved, that is gonna chase away any other guy, right? So I just want you guys to understand that many times when you feel like you're not enough, and that somebody left you and you feel like it's who you are and you're defective and it's not enough for somebody, it's not about that. It tends to be about insecure behavior coming across like you're not enough, projecting to them that you're not enough, that they pick up on it and they lose attraction from that. Okay? So I've got an email coaching today that I wanted to get into because this guy is feeling like he got left because he wasn't enough. He says, "Hi, Coach Craig. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving and are having a happy holidays. I'm going to pre-apologize for my punctuation, spelling, and grammar. It's been a while since I've sat down and typed anything out. My ex and I broke up in October. She's in her late 20s, I'm in my mid 30s. We first met when she was in her early 20s. We were introduced to each other by her parents at the same bar." That's interesting. "I know you hear this all the time, but it was instant chemistry. She and I were hanging out and hooking up when we were seeing each other. We always talked about moving in together and having kids. I told her I couldn't have kids due to my vasectomy when I was in my mid-20s. She suggested getting it reversed, which I actually did and have considered." The way he worded that sentence is like, wait, which I actually did and have considered, or which I actually have considered? I think he means to say which I've actually considered. But the way it comes across is which I actually did, like he had the procedure did, and he also considered it. But he did apologize. He pre-apologized for his punctuation at the beginning. So he gets an extra pass. "I wasn't kid-friendly at the time. I grew up in a not-so-good household. My parents never married, never lived together, and always argued. Though the years have changed my views on kids." Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, like with our self-esteem and our behavior. Our self-esteem often leads to certain behaviors that turn people off. The lower our self-esteem is, the more insecurities we have, the more we do things that are going to turn people off. Especially women. Okay, it's not fair, but here's the reality, okay? Women tend to get away with bad behavior more than men. You can disagree. It's fine. But the way I see it is women are kind of expected to be emotional and get upset and lose their temper and get angry and lash out. And men kind of have to take it. Whereas if men do it to women, women are often scared because they tend to be smaller and they often, are afraid that the guy might get violent and they leave and they lose attraction. Okay? So, like I said, you could disagree if you want, but that's what I've seen oftentimes happen. Shortly after, she disappeared for a while. Turns out she had a problem with substance abuse. Okay, so she's got substance abuse. As a therapist, that tells me there's a lot deeper issues going on there. Maybe some trauma, maybe some abuse. I would assume anxiety, maybe depression, maybe even bipolar. Though I don't suspect, a lot of times people that are bipolar often self-medicate with alcohol. When I would see her parents, they would give me updates on how she was doing and if she was getting help. Fast forward to 2021 and we reconnected. So that had been years, remember? It had been years since they first met. When our eyes met again, the spark instantly reignited. She now had a little boy and was getting over a divorce. I know, too soon to be dating, but we were smitten. Well, that lust that we feel is going to overwhelm all logic and reason. We dated off and on through the years, and each time we broke up, we would always come back together. So, what's going on there? How many times did they break up in those couple of years? I don't know. It sounds like quite a bit. And why? Was there a pattern? I don't know. He doesn't tell me. In 2023, I got a new job and she got a new job, and we both started working a lot more. Due to her anxiety and past problems with substance abuse, she started to go back to AA/NA meetings because when she drank, she wanted substances. All right, so she's still not over those issues. She's still struggling. This sounds pretty serious. What's going to happen, right? Her mental health is deteriorating for whatever reason, which kind of pushed us apart, but I reassured her that we would find time to get together. She agreed, and I was very supportive of her decision. So he did a great job here, right? He encouraged her, he was supportive of her, and so that's great. Anytime we would hang out, I'd only drink non-alcoholic drinks so she didn't feel forced or pressured, and telling her how proud I was of her for sticking with it. So that's great. More support. That's great. This is nice to see. The middle of October came. I received a text from her while I was at work that read, "I'm feeling super overwhelmed with my anxiety. It's acting up with work, and I'm anxious about my finances right now. My sponsor says I need to be concentrating on recovery and not a relationship at this time." So I was a little bit curious as to whether or not a sponsor would say that in this situation. I don't know. It's certainly possible. But it did feel a little suspicious. I told her, "Hey, take your time. Keep progressing. I'll always be here for you. You know that. And when you miss me, get in touch. Just don't make it another 7 years. LOL." After that, I went no contact because my gut told me something was up. Yep, I felt the same thing when she said that. I mean, certainly in a situation like this, somebody's telling you their mental health is an issue, they want help, they need a sponsor, they shouldn't be in a relationship. I mean, it certainly makes sense from a logical standpoint, but when you've been doing this as long as I have, it just feels a little off. So I felt something was up here. All right, and so did he. 2 weeks later, I went to look at her social media because I was missing her and found I was blocked on everything. Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. Now that certainly doesn't line up with her reasons for breaking up with him, does it? Why do that? He sounds like he's been extremely supportive and done a great job here. And yet he's feeling like he's not enough. All right? I think he's done a great job based on what I read. So, I want to give him props for being so supportive. And, he presented himself like a secure base, but he didn't feel like he did. So I would take a look at those insecurities as to why you felt like you weren't supportive when it seemed like you did a good job. I saw a mutual friend on the weekend that informed me she was in a new relationship and finally happy with a guy she met at recovery meetings a month or so prior. This lady is living in La La Land, okay? And so she doesn't know who this new guy is. How could she know him? She's known him for a month. The guy's in recovery. How good of a place could he be in his life? How good of a place is she in her life? What I think is going on here is people don't like to do the work. That's the sad truth. You have to do the work, guys. You have to do the work. You got to do the work. Okay? Many people In no contact, they don't want to do the work. They don't want to get into therapy. They don't want to consistently sit down and do the workbooks or the creative healing course. They just look for easy answers, but that is not the way to go. It's not going to get your ex back. It's not going to make your relationship better. You got to do the work. And she's not, right? Because she's jumping to a new guy that she barely knows, and she's living in a fantasy land that, oh, he's so perfect and wonderful and amazing. It's not going to last. Not likely. And the situation with so many factors going on here, well, I'd be surprised if it goes 3 months. But this poor guy is devastated. And who wouldn't be? Right? Because this isn't what she told him. In fact, she told him she shouldn't be in a relationship. And now she's telling somebody she's finally happy? That's brutal. That is brutal. I feel horrible because that really stings. That she makes it seem like she wasn't happy with him all of a sudden when we don't even have any complaints about this guy. Right? She didn't even say anything, you don't do this or I need that. Nothing lacking. And on top of that, he seemed to be really supportive. He says, let me tell you, brother, my heart sunk so low. But instead of blowing her up, I stayed in no contact and have been doing that since. Good job, man. That's great. I'm so glad you didn't chase after her or blow up and lose emotional self-control, because it would be very easy to do when you find out that your ex who's told you, I don't want to be in a relationship, is now bragging about dating somebody else. I guess what I want to know is, why did she lie about the breakup? Okay, so many people are dishonest about the breakup for many different reasons, and every situation is different and every breakup is different. I think in this situation, we've got somebody who's really unhealthy, struggling with their mental health, struggling with addiction, and she's found her new drug. This guy is her new drug. And instead of dealing with things that are difficult emotions and feelings, she decided that she would rather chase the excitement and the lust of a new person than deal with things like an adult. And unfortunately, you are the one that gets really hurt in this situation. And now it makes you question things a lot more than if she had done things the right way. He also wants to know, why did she feel that I wasn't enough? Well, you don't know that she didn't feel like you were enough. And in this situation, it kind of makes me feel like you're projecting your own insecurities by thinking that, right? I could understand why you'd think, well, why wasn't I enough? But you were supportive in what I read and encouraging, and you didn't pressure her. And so if you acted like that in the relationship, I don't think this has anything to do with you not being enough. And I do think you've got some insecurities here, and you should take a closer look at that. But to me, this is more about her mental health and her addiction, and basically using this new guy as like a new drug. He says, how can I change to get her back? All right. Well, in this situation, I don't really have anything specific, because she didn't have any specific complaints. She didn't say you do that XYZ and I didn't like it. She didn't say anything like that to you. As a matter of fact, she didn't seem to have any complaints about you based on what I read. Now, I would take a look at your own insecurities and explore the areas that you might not feel good enough. Is there been a pattern in your relationships? Did somebody else make you feel like this? Did your parents make you feel like this? You know, the creative healing course would really help you. And for all of you guys going through a breakup, the creative healing course and the workbooks are meant to help anybody. They're not just some cheesy get your ex back guide that a lot of people put out there. Okay? This is the real stuff. You sit down, you do it 30 minutes a day, more if you want. There's going to be all kinds of activities that are going to help you process the breakup and heal, especially the course where there's art therapy activities, there's audio affirmations, there's homework assignments, there's cartoons with reflective questions. There's tons and tons of activities. Take a look at the little videos that I have that explain everything that's on there. But that's the real work, where you're really growing and healing and getting to a really confident place, where if she comes back, you're going to be in a great place and you can decide if she's in a good place for you. Is her mental health good enough for you that she can meet your needs? Can you trust her again? When did she meet this guy? How? Is he the reason you guys broke up? Was she happy longer and she hadn't told you? You need more information. You're not going to get it right now, and I don't want you to reach out to get that. I want this to run its course with this other guy, and she'll probably reach out again. If she's in AA and NA, one of the steps may be apologizing to you. And at that point, maybe that's when you can ask her some questions and find out what happened. What made her end the relationship? Is she remorseful for the way she did it? Is she empathetic? You want to take a closer look at her and her mental health, and if she's going to be able to meet your needs after going through all this. It's always good to look at your own issues after a breakup. They can help you grow and see blind spots that we all have. The more we see our blind spots, the more we can shrink them, and the more we grow, and the more confident we are. And the more confident we are, the more we're going to attract people, especially the guys that are turning women off with their insecure behavior that's causing them to chase. If you don't feel like you're enough, you're going to try and overcompensate. And so you have to be aware of those things because they really kill attraction. All right, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get my help personally, you can get it on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. And you can get my knowledge workbooks and my creative healing course only on my website. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.